Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a headache. I've just been popping some pills there because I've got a bit of a hangover. The remnants of my champagne from yesterday. I think I may have had a party too hearty because I was celebrating the launch, the 2025 launch of the Airfix kit range of their new releases for 2025. And boy did they catch me unawares. I had no intentions of making any videos about this. Actually, I decided I just wasn't going to bother. Which is why I was not on yesterday. And then, as you may have seen from the photo, the photo that I put out later, most of my dreams, some of my dreams, the most important ones, came true! Airfix have produced a Jag! Yes! Yes! And that wasn't enough. I felt like it was my birthday instantly. And then a few seconds later they announced they're bringing out a Stalwart, which is the other item I'd mentioned in my recent video called Give Us the Kits That We Really Want. And they did. So that is absolutely incredible. Now, I can only imagine the Stalwart must have already been in development. So I'm sure that wasn't purely in relation to what I said and the fact that I made it the number one sort of the military vehicles I'd like to see. But the Jag, it's quite interesting the way that it was presented. We'll get into it in a minute. But I had to laugh a little bit because a little chuckle I had. My views are really, I have my own views. There are some kits that, some genres that I'm interested in that others are not. But of course, having a YouTube channel, it's important that you've got to be very balanced and you've got to, yes, of course, my personal opinions and likes and dislikes will influence things quite a bit. But I think when you talk about a manufacturer and their ranges, whichever manufacturer it is, and there's several on the wall behind me, of course, I've got to be balanced about it. And I've got to be taking into account that people like different subjects. And I think most of my comments that I've made, when I've been fairly strident and forthright, it's not just my own feelings, it's the feelings of a lot of, I'm picking up on what a lot of people have been saying. And in the case of that Jaguar, people have been really jumping up and down asking for that, certainly since the start of 2020 that I'm aware of. So, but it was interesting that when Dale Luckhurst, who, Jaguar, don't mention that company. Airfix's head of brand, he was doing the presentation, and also in the text, as you'll see, it says how much requested it was, which is exactly what I was reflecting, and I was merely being a conduit, if you like, for people's opinions, and the popular opinion was, I think that was probably they really got it right this time, because that is definitely the most demanded kit, you know, and it has been there for 3 or 4 years, so we'll get into the detail of that in a second, but just want to say hats off to Dale and Airfix team. I think you've absolutely nailed it this time. But I know he said in the presentation it's been in development for over 12 months. Well, just between you and me, of course, and I won't go into all the details that are confidential, but I've been in discussions with Dale via email since July of 23. So, and I was saying to him, then you really should consider this, you really should consider it, and he was very cagey, you know, as always. He said, oh, well, may or may not be in our 5-year plan, but I couldn't possibly comment, you know. He might have a future as a politician over in Westminster. I mean, he can't be any worse than the crop, can he? Yeah. Yesterday I wanted him to be Prime Minister at about 5 o'clock, so there you go. Good for you, well done guys. Well done Dale. But yeah, I've got to be honest, I watched the presentation, I was watching it, and I had the chat on and everything, and I was not involved in the chat. I thought, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything, good or bad, unless I win the lottery today, unless we win the lottery. Because, you know, when I did that video I mentioned, there's been 700 comments. It's the most commented video I've ever done. And there was over, I think, 65, 70 people that just ticked one guy who said, we've got to have a Jaguar. And he went on about Jaguar. This guy went on about the Jaguar much more than me. And he got 70 thumbs up. So it just shows that there's a lot of desire for a particular kit sometimes. Builds up a head of steam and see what happened, of course. But anyway, yesterday I was watching the presentation by Dale at 4 o'clock. With, I've got to be fair, pretty low expectations, especially after last year. Last year I was very disappointed. We won't go over ground, but I was sitting there thinking I'm just going to keep quiet and let people think I'm not around, which I was. I was watching from the very beginning. I made no comment at all. And then when they announced the Jag, I actually said, there is a God. Yes, yes. And then a few moments later when they came up with the Stalwart as well, and I said, I think I just had a trouser accident. So it was, it's probably the most enjoyable Airfix launch for me, personally. Bearing in mind that those of you that go back and watch that video again, I'll put a link over here. And you'll see that I was talking about those two very kits in particular. I think the Stalwart was an inspired choice as well by them because, as Dale said, it's not a kit that's been done in injection moulded plastic. You can only get it in resin. Is it Accurate Miniatures, I think, and they're out of business now. So it's perfect timing for Airfix, a real open goal for them. I think the Stalwart sell pretty well as well. I think that's going to be another good one for them. Now, there were other items in the range. We'll go through it in a second. Other items. I'm not going to go through everything, by the way. I'm just going to go through the ones that I thought were majorly of interest. I don't get particularly excited by any manufacturer who reissues the same kit. I know that Airfix often do it to liven them up. They're dealing with different schemes and decals and things like that. I don't get that excited about that. For me, it's all about occasionally, of course, there's kits that are out of production for a long time, and then they do become important, those reissues. As I watch through, I have to be honest, I'm just going to get this out of the way at the beginning so that I can scrub away all the negatives, because I don't want to. Today's going to be a non-rant, I can promise you, non-rant event. I think there's too many Spitfires in it again. However, some of them had merit. I'll go into that in a second. Some of them did have merit. But too many Spitfires. I think that I don't want to be critical to say, but just be aware. Just be aware. Anyway, it started off, of course, with, let's just have a look. I think here in the background we've got. I'm not going to run through the presentation because you've all seen it from Dale anyway. But I have to say it was much slicker. I thought much slicker. The only thing I would say, and I think this is probably a YouTube problem rather than Airfix or at my end, because other people were complaining that there was the sound kept breaking up. I think there was some sort of issue at YouTube. We've had that on a couple of my videos in the past where people complained about sound cutting out, and it was doing it with Dale. In the end, after about 2 minutes, I closed it, YouTube, and reopened it, and it was fine. So anybody that was upset by the sound problems that they were having, if you go back and watch the video now, it's perfect. So it's clearly nothing at Airfix's end, and I don't think it was at my end. It was several people in the chat were all moaning about it, and I think it was one of these YouTube glitches where they have a bit too much demand, presumably, Anyway, so they start off with these gift sets, which I'll show in more detail in a second. Now, I just want to say that the shuttle one, well, I had that in 1979, 1980, when they came out. They brought out the Moonraker when I had it. Yeah, it's okay. It's another one of these reissues. It's I've got to say the box art that is being produced by Airfix at the moment is really probably amongst the best box art. This one was one of my first kits I ever had. I didn't really build much of it myself. It was mainly built by my father, the Saturn V, back in 1972. Anyway, but that was the first one. Then we left it white, and then I actually painted it later. But it was white. We kept it white for quite a long time, But he's got this Artemis, the new lunar exploration rocket, and that does look very nice. I've got to say, I'm quite pleased to see that's something completely new, bang up to date. I think there's a lot more enthusiasm for space at the moment, space exploration, probably thanks to people like Elon Musk, of course. But recently, certainly, there's been quite an uptake in people's interest, and this thing that Musk had with his Starship capturing the booster and all that stuff was incredible. Anyway, digressing. That I thought was very, very good. I think I'll knock this off now. We'll just go to. I'll forward it to the part which I think one or two of you may have smiled like I did. I was getting a bit impatient, because the same expectations are a bit low already, and I got to sort of about here, just past the Liberator, and then zoom you in for this. the Wessex came up, which I thought, yeah, that's I'm not sure maybe in 72nd, but it looks a nice kit. That does. That looks very good, I've got to say. Quite impressed by that. I would have liked one in Falklands trim, because it was Humphrey, wasn't it Humphrey, the famous one? That was at the Falklands. Now in one of the museums, isn't it? I think is it Yeovilton, I think so. But yeah, that looks really nice. That's an interesting chopper and probably overdue, so that's a good choice. And then we start with all the Spitfires again. Now this is a reissue with some different markings, and seem to be very popular. In fairness, again, this is me versus everybody else. I think the general opinion was, oh no, not another Spitfire. But then when people looked at it, they thought, yeah, okay. Now this is a kit I built that followed Nat, and a lot of you have seen my build of it, which was in the Red Arrows trim. And we get the Bolton Paw Defiant, and I said these are all reintros. And then we got the Mark 1 Spit, another Spit, and then we got the Lynx, which has been out of production for a while. And then we got another Garrett. And then I was like, oh, my heart absolutely sank. Now I would just say, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the Garrett. I'm not his biggest fan. Other people like it and more interested in it than I am, which is fair enough. Not sure about this particular variant though, because it was interesting to see the comments. A lot of people wanted the Airborne Early Warning version. So it's not really the one I would have probably plumped for, but anyway, I'm not a Garrett fan anyway, so. But I have to say, I got to this point and my heart was starting to sink, and I thought, why don't we just switch off now and let's save the pain. Now, all I was drinking was a cup of coffee, by the way, freshly brewed coffee actually, which I was enjoying, and I was thinking, glad I'm not drinking any alcohol because I'd be very depressed. And on it went. And then we got to the Mark 9, a new moulded Mark 9 Spitfire, new Teal Spitfire Mark 9, this time in 48. I don't question why we need that, but it does look very nice. It does look very nice, and of course it will sell for them. There's no question about that. They always do sell. And I think it's as though Airfix are trying to literally shut the book on Spitfires in some respects. They've got basically every scale now, haven't they, apart from 32nd scale, which they leave to the likes of Tamiya. So yeah, that was very interesting. Now this is the one I thought did have the most merit, which is the TR9, which is the trainer Spitfire, the two-seater Spitfire. Now I have to tell you, just going to stop it here for a second. I have to tell you that I was actually scheduled to go up at Biggin Hill in the two-seater Spitfire when I had a big birthday a few years back, and we went down. We went and did a twin thing with my wife. Sorry, I had a big birthday, and then this was a couple of years later. My wife's slightly younger than me, and she had a big birthday. And because I'd arranged we're going to go to London and Paris, and we're going to go stay in a posh hotel, stay in the Goring Hotel in London, which is where the Middletons stayed at the royal wedding, to be honest. Anyway, I digress, but that wasn't cheap, I can tell you. But it was a great experience. And we went down to Dover to Folkestone on the Belmond Pullman. Very posh train when you get your lunch served. Absolutely fantastic experience. And then ultimately we went through the Channel Tunnel and then onto the Orient Express. I mention it because the day before we were due to go on the Orient Express and go to Paris, there was no murder, by the way. Well, apart from my wallet, obviously my bank balance got murdered, but apart from that it was fine. But I was supposed to fly in the Spitfire from Biggin Hill, and unfortunately we were there for, I think in London, we were down there for about 3.5, 4 days, and this is on the third day. And unfortunately, this sort of minor storm blew up and it was very windy. And the problem with the Spitfires, of course, places like Biggin Hill, they now operate, that's a civilian airport, they have to operate on the runway, and they only have, I think it's 13 or 14 knots crosswind allowance. So when there's a crosswind, if it's stronger than 13 knots, they can't take off at all. Yeah, they're actually restricted by the CAA. So, and they rang me up and they said they're really good about it. Actually, the people at Biggin Hill. I forgot the name of the company, but I'm sure you'll know the one I mean. But they were really excellent. They rang up and said, "I'm really sorry, Peter. It's going to be too windy. We're not going to be doing any flights tomorrow." And I said, "Oh no." And they said, "Oh, do you want us to rebook it?" You know. And the problem is for me, it's a long way away, and it means a hotel stay, and the whole thing could just repeat, and you could end up spending a lot of money and not going anywhere. And in the end, we got a refund, I've got to be honest. But they were so nice about it. Said, no, refund, no problem. So, and it was straight into my account within minutes, you know. So nice to do it. Anyway, that was digressing from the Airfix story. But so nice, those people at Biggin Hill. So please, yeah, recommend them. Ethics and their trading, customer service was fantastic. there's not much you can do about the wind, unfortunately, but I was a bit gutted because I really was looking forward to this Spitfire flight, going out to the White Cliffs of Dover and all that stuff, and it didn't happen. Anyway, maybe I'll get another chance. Maybe in the future, another big birthday. Who knows? Anyway, back to the Airfix 2-seater Spitfire. So yeah, they've done this, and nobody, I don't think, has done this in plastic before. So yeah, I thought this was pretty cool, to be fair. Long overdue, and very much, you know, I say people that have been out in these Spitfires. These are in period training Spitfires, and some of the ones that I've been referring to. Some of the ones I've been referring to are. Dale's getting a bit ahead of himself there. Some of the ones I've been referring to have been post-war modifications. Some are, some aren't, but you know, I say it's something that you can understand. Airfix wanting to plug a gap in the market, so that one, yeah, we'll give them a pass on that. And then the big news, and this is the moment that I almost went into orbit, quite frankly. And yeah, Dale appears at the end of the Spitfire bit, and he gives us what we've all been waiting for: the 48 scale Sepecat Jaguar GR1, GR1A. Now it's in 4 schemes, as he was explaining. The first one is the Lossy Mouth scheme, which I'll come back to in a second. And you've got the that was 54 Squadron, and then you've got the I think 6 Squadron based at Coltishall. You've got the Operation Granby, the Buster Gonad. Slightly smutty nose art on that one, of course, in the Gulf War in '91. And then you've got the Larbrook, I think it is, Jag, and the Squadron. He'll tell you in a second. I've forgotten already. But it looks really good. I mean, I'm not sure we're doing it any justice here, but it does look nicely conceived. Obviously, the proof of the pudding's in the eating when it arrives. But look at the nose difference on this. It hasn't got the glass laser designator nose, and then it has in the later ones. You can see from the first one at Lossiemouth, which I'm going to talk about in a second. There's a slightly different modification. The first entity, number 2 Squadron. Yeah, okay, 2 Squadron. Right, stop there. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't know what it is. I have moaned about this before about Lossiemouth with the Buccaneer, which I've got in front of me. I'm sure several of you noticed that. Where I grumbled about 12 Squadron, who used to be at Honington, and we're at Honington from I think 68 until 83. They were there about 12, 14, 15 years. And then, but they only did a Lossiemouth option, you know, they didn't do a Honington option. Well, with somebody's got an obsession with Lossiemouth, because with the Jaguar, that was actually not even at Lossiemouth for 6 months, actually. 54 Squadron, they were just there for the first 4 or 5 months, and then they moved to Coltishall. And Germany as well later, of course, but yeah, so it's strange that they've gone for something that wasn't even there 6 months, and they've gone and done a Lossiemouth version of that again. But in fairness, they've done both, so it's fine. It's the flying can openers, of course, the other Squadron that are at in the schemes that they've offered. The flying can openers, who are, my brain is failing me. Was it number 6? Yeah, 6. I can't remember. Spare remember. 6 Squadron. Yeah, the flying can openers. So anyway, this has been much anticipated, much demanded, much requested. Finally, it's here. So I felt like it was my birthday yesterday, I've got to be honest. So I'm very grateful to Airfix, as were many people. And this is the important takeaway. It doesn't matter what I think. I'm just some guy on YouTube and just one person. But when you saw the outpouring of almost unbridled joy that there was in the chat, people go, yes, a Jag, yes! It was almost like there was, and we know that they've used that, Airfix in the past have slightly disingenuously used that footage of, I don't know, it's some sports event where there's a goal scored and big cheers and screams all of a sudden without warning. And it was just like that. And it was for me. I was instantly reaching for the fridge for the champagne. Well, there's the proof, there's just a little bit left. Whoa, but boy was I happy. I was like, yes. I was like pinching myself. Is this real? Are you sure it's not some drunken dream? No, because I'm drinking coffee. I've not had anything to drink for ages, for days. oh my god, it was real, it actually happened, we're getting a Jag. And a nice looking one too. So obviously you got the very first version that arrived at Lossiemouth. You look, it's got the different nose. If you look at the, whoops, I'm on the wrong way. It's got the nose without the window in it, basically. If you look very closely, if I just zoom in again, you can see this. As per the very original issue, the GR1. So that's the GR1, and the 1A has got the modified nose you see later with the window in it. As per there and there. So yeah, so very, very pleased, and it looks another nicely engineered kit. We will eagerly await this, because this for me is the most long awaited, even more eagerly awaited than the Buccaneer, and I was quite keen on that one. So absolutely delighted, I've got to say. Now, I know that there were some people in the chat that were saying, oh, well that's fantastic, but where is the Tornado? That'll be the next one that people will be screaming out for, you know. But it shows that Airfix, I mean, I was talking to Dale in July of 23, nearly 2 years ago, certainly over 18 months ago, and so I'm sure he's listened to what I said, and he's probably then looked at what other people are saying and looking around at what the mood music is when there's been these questions asked. Clearly from the remarks they've made in their own marketing, they recognise that a lot of people wanted to see this kit, really overdue, and you know, the old kit was bad, and they have also reissued, to try and keep the 72nd scale brigade happy. They've reissued the original GR1 Jag in 72nd scale, which I can understand. You can't expect them to tool both scales just because people jumping up and down wanting a Jag. I can fully see what they've done there and why they've done it. It's unfortunate because it's from 1970, that tooling. It's not great. I've built it twice and not great. But we've got what we wanted. You know, we've got something brand new. I think this is going to be highlight of the year for a lot of people, me included. Could it be kit of the year? Well, it depends on the execution, of course, but if they do a really fantastic job of it, it's probably in the running, isn't it, with me for kit of the year? But we shall see. You can never prejudge it. Who knows what's going to come up during the year? But I think you can almost guarantee that unless there's some major problem, that this is going to be in the top 10. Easy. Anyway, we move on. I have to say that I was delighted. And it's nice that the one thing I would say, the one thing I would have added, the only thing that they didn't include, which I would have liked to see, and you can't have everything, of course, I would have liked to see the Arctic scheme. So if they want to do a variant in the near future, you know, maybe next year or the year after, look at the Arctic schemes of these Arctic. It looks amazing in the Arctic scheme. I thought the Jag looked one of the best planes in Arctic scheme, and the Jags and the Buccaneers were often put in Arctic schemes when they do these exercises in Norway and stuff, you know. So there's that, and of course there's they could do French variants. There's the Oman variant, the export variant, and of course India ended up using the Jaguar later in its life. So there's plenty of scope. Maybe they'll do a two-seater trainer version of it. I don't know, because it looks good as a two-seater. The Jag looks amazing, really good looking. So there's lots of scope for the future with that model as well, which is what I said before about it's got legs, you know. But I'm very pleased and I'm very grateful to Airfix, and I say I did have a bit of that. I can thank Airfix for my headache this morning and needed to take the pills. Still just clearing my head. I struggled when I got up this morning. It was like, oh, why do I feel this bad? And I thought, oh yes, but it's because of something good. But it's wonderful to see so many people so happy. Again, forget what I said. I didn't comment, and the instant reaction was just joy. It was amazing, actually. That's one of the most positive reactions I've seen. Really popular kit. I think they're going to sell really well. Well, I'm going to get at least a couple of them, I'm sure. So I want to do probably the one there, GR1, GR1A anyway. I'm not such a big fan of the Gulf War schemes on because I find it a bit bland. I would just say as well, something that slightly worried me on the artwork was some of the weathering on the aircraft, the way it's been depicted. I presume it's Adam 2B. Didn't check that actually. Don't know what it actually says. I mean, it's lovely art. It is lovely art. But it's just something about the weathering. It reminded me of the way that it had been moulded by Heller and Airfix back in the 80s. Was it later, wasn't it, 94? and I thought, oh no, I hope it's not going to be quite moulded in quite the same way, because it was a bit crude around the joint. I'm sure it won't be. It'll be fine. So it's absolutely brilliant that they've come out with that, and it does look really bonny. And they've also, I should have mentioned this, to help you with that, the nose glass, they've gone and moulded in a very Tamiya-like way. They've gone and moulded this nose here. Whoops, too far. Gone and moulded it here with an entirely clear section, so you can mask it off and get a proper result. So that looks really nice. It's looking very positive, isn't it? It's a nice story to tell. I can stop moaning now, and a lot of us can stop grumbling and muttering under their breath, and we can embrace Airfix again as we used to. Isn't that wonderful? So moving on, I'm going to now talk about the second release, which gave me a bit of a trouser accident, I have to say, in a good way. And it was, yeah, very much a great choice by them. I think this Stalwart, you know, it's just coming up in a second. I'll just fast forward it and we'll look at the pricing, because I want to talk about pricing as well. Another area where I think that Airfix have made a few mistakes in the past, and I think they've nailed it this time. I think they've nailed it on price. They've got the new ferret arm, and I'm not a big ferret fan, but a lot of people do like it, so fair enough, you know. That's just my personal preference, but I think that's probably going to sell. You've actually got this time the Operation Granby type. Yeah, Operation Granby, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, British Army 91. That I think will probably sell as well, if not as better than the first one did. Whereas, as I said, with the Gunner, I wasn't so sure about that. Now here we've got the Stalwart, and this looks absolutely brilliant. I mean, really, this is when I felt that it was my birthday and Christmas on the same day. Look at that. That looks awesome, and nobody else does one in injection moulding. A real opportunity for Airfix to clean up. I think these are going to sell really well. And again, the pricing on this I'll come to in a minute. They've got it absolutely spot on, I think. Really good. Yeah, I just like everything about it. Those images just do it for me. Absolutely. And I'm amazed that nobody else has done it before, really. I'm sort of amazed that Airfix didn't do it in the dim and distant past, in the 70s, 80s, really, when it was a current vehicle. Perhaps they weren't allowed, I don't know. Anyway, then we've got a few of the other. Yeah, there's the Jaguar one, the 72nd scale one. It's all right, you know, it's okay. The Puma's back as well. They're doing the Clipper, the motor torpedo boats, and the RAF launch, and the German E-boat. So there's a lot of launches, Launch City. There's no HMS Victory, which I know other people like Jason were calling for, but that Jag is just, it looks sublime, doesn't it, really? That looks the business when you see it like that. It really does look like they're going to do a nice job at this. Jaguar, for those of you that didn't know, that's another one that's nice. I think this will sell well as well. Something really new, and again, nobody else is doing it really, so that's another, a bit like the Stalwart, you know, that's another big win for them. Yep. And then you've got this 48 scale Mark 9E. Looks quite nice, I have to be honest. I think there's too many Spitfires, of course, I've said before, but it does look a nice kit, I've got to say. That Stalwart though, wow, that looks absolutely epic. Yeah, I love the look of that. You've got the little, yeah, they've got the wipers built into the glass, but you know, at the price point they've produced it out, I think that's fine. And then you've got Artemis, which is just an epic looking rocket, and it's got this launch pad as well, so that's quite impressive. They've included everything. And again, I'll get to in a moment, but it's very well priced. It's got the ESA NASA module on the top. There we go. So, what I'm going to do now is talk about the prices, if I may. Zoom you back for a second. I was a little bit, when the presentation finished, because you saw it, it's quite a slick presentation this time. It doesn't sort of ponder around, it's quite tightly edited and everything. And I was almost in shock, to be honest. I was thinking, was this done especially for me? Or no, obviously not, given what everybody else has been asking for. But it almost felt like somebody saying, it's your birthday, it's not my birthday, but it's your birthday, and Merry Christmas as well. We do it all in one go. That's how impressed and how positive I felt, and I was almost literally in shock. I was like, what, really? Yeah. But I was wearing my Airfix t-shirt, so obviously it was a good look charm, you know. I was wearing the one that you saw, the green one. Anyway, enough of me. Let's have a look at these prices there, because I say, not been entirely happy with some of Airfix pricing in the last couple of years, and I think they must have decided on where to produce things and at what price point, and done it differently this time. And I do think they've got the pricing pretty much bang on all these new products. Let's just have a look at them, because I was very impressed yesterday when I looked at the detail. So what we have, we've got the Gannet, which I say I'm not a big fan of. I just wonder about this variant. Anyway, I'm not going to bang on about it. It's just my personal preference. I don't care for the aircraft particularly, but that variant as well. I think that maybe they're going to do the airborne early warning at a later date. I suspect they will, because I think that's the one that most people seem to want. In terms of the pricing, as you can see there, it's actually £60. So yeah, not unreasonable. I think that's about right. But again, pretty much the right pricing point. And then you've got a few other things coming through. What I need to do actually is get the new stuff, which is new for 2025. Well, they're saying these are all new for 2025, aren't they? But look at this, the Airfix catalogue, which is due very, very soon. Check this out, the Jaguar doing its business on the bombing ranges in Scotland by the look of it. Look at that. Hey, is that going to be the box art? Is that what? Now that's the sort of box art I was kind of hoping to see, if you know what I mean. And that is the Mark 1 from Lossiemouth, because you can tell by the nose. It hasn't got the window under the nose. Doesn't it look cool? So they've got a really kicking looking 2025 catalogue as well, so that's very good news. Then we've got our new Spitfire Mark 9E, which is, as you can see, is this is the 48 scale one that I mentioned. But the pricing looks spot on, doesn't it? That's pretty tight pricing. That's good value. Good value. I think that's spot on. So I'm impressed with that. Then we've got Artemis, the lunar rocket, and this one's coming out at $49.99, which, when you see how big it is, there's quite a lot of plastic there. Yeah, I think that's about the right price again. I think they're really getting the prices spot on this year. They really are. They are still selling that Stuka at 97 quid. A bit too much, I think that is. Saturn V gift set. I call it the gift set because it comes with all the paints and the... Yeah, less than about them, the better. Really. They both do. I should have said that. It's a gift set, so the gift set has the paints and the glue. It's ready to build. Just be a bit wary there. But anyway, now the important one. Sepecat Jaguar, 48 scale. And they've gone and priced it, I think, just right. Look at this. What did I say about the Buccaneer that's in front of me? That was £74 when it came out, and I said, oh, that's too much. It should have been £64. 60 to 64, 65 max. Felt that was overpriced. Not this time now. Look at this. They have absolutely nailed it with the pricing. 60 quid, 59.99. Absolutely bob on that. And you're going to have the two options. You've got the 4 schemes. Seems good value. It's quite a decent sized aircraft at 48 scale, of course. And then you've got your Wessex. Again, really good value, 24.99. That's, to me, that feels, yeah, really well priced. Really well priced. So I think that they're taking on board perhaps what the market, where the market prices are at. And again, this wonderful looking Stalwart, and again it's just about right, that, isn't it? It says, can't see the price. $39.99, there you go. Again, looking at it, I think that's dead on. Dead on. No argument, not too cheap, not too high, just right. Goldilocks. Goldilocks. And these are all available for pre-order. Then you've got your 2-seater Spitfire in 48 scale. And again, under £30. That seems very good value for a 2-seater Spit. 2 lots of cockpit, remember. Feels good value. So in effect, it's the same price basically. I think that's very good value because it's the same price as the Mark 9E, and you've got 2 cockpits. So I think that's a bargain, actually, to be honest. Yep, very, very good. Gannet, we said 60 quid, and then we get into those that are reissues at the usual sort of pricing levels. We'll just have a quick look at the next page. Clipper, £22, which actually sounds very reasonable for a fairly large aircraft. Oh, it's one. I was thinking it was 72nd in my mind. It's 1144. Sorry, yeah, but it's about right now, isn't it? Land Rover and Trucks at 76 scale. You've got your Sepecat Jaguar, the standard one in these, the vintage classic, 16 quid under. It's 15.99. That's very good pricing. And then you've got all these others. You've got your Handley Page Victor reissue, which isn't a bad kit actually. I quite like that Victor kit. I've got to be honest, it's way better than the Matchbox one, to be honest. That's actually, yeah, it's a bit pricey, but it's a bit of a monster, in fairness. We're talking quite a lot of plastic in there, really. Yeah, quite a lot of plastic in that. It's a monster of a kit. I did a review of it about 6-7 years ago. Huge is the word I would use. Then you got your ferret coming out at just under £25, £24.99 for your ferret. Oops, there we go. Yeah, and I just don't see the problems that there've been before, that we've commented in the past and said, oh, that seems pricey, oh, that's too much, you know. No, and the Liberator, the new Liberator, the D they're bringing out, which has got Lady Be Good is the option. I don't know if any of you know the story. It's a bit of a sad story on this one, actually. Lady Be Good is the Liberator that flew out, as in Libya, and it flew out into the desert and was lost forever, and the crew crash landed it. There was a problem, I think, of it, sandstorms and some navigational trouble, and they crash landed, and they ended up some good videos on YouTube about this, and they ended up trying to find their way off in the desert, and they didn't make it, any of them, and it was a bit of a tragic story, really. And they found the remains of different members of the crew going different distances, you know. Some made it further than others, and horrible, quite a traumatic story, worth looking up. Well, that's nice. $49.99 again. Big model, sounds the right price to me, that. And then you've got the Flying Fortress, the G, because last year we had this Masters of the Air show, didn't we? $41.99. Yeah, that sounds to me like quite good value, to be honest. A low price, if anything. Then you've got your Mustang reissue, pre-order, Dooley Bird, famous one, the British one, Mark IV. And $24.99 for the alternate schemed, some new parts, isn't it, on this ME 410 A1. And then you've just got the Ferris reissues. Then the U-boat, the German E-boat, $49.99 sounds a lot to me, but I'm not a ship modeller, and I ship with a P. I'm not a ship modeller, and I'm not that familiar. It's a fair old size, 72nd scale. It's about that big, is it? It just sounds high to me, but I think that this is probably because they've got to clean the tool up or something, you know. I know it was a very popular subject when it was in period. It was about 1977, 78, something like that. I seem to recall it. Spitfire Mark 1, again, they're doing all these Spitfires at $29.99 at 48 scale. That sounds good value to me. You got your Bedford truck, and I won't go through every single one of them, but yeah. They all seem about the right price, and I didn't feel that last year. I felt that they were really, for reasons that weren't clear, there may be exchange rate or what it was, I don't know, but one or two of them just seemed to be way over the top. And this year they don't. They seem all proper price, no arguments, spot on. So they got the price right. They've got you know, I don't agree with all the, or prefer, not agree with, but I don't prefer all their selections. But they've got a good variety, except the ship models. I know Jason's going to be jumping up and down saying, "Where's HMS Victory?" Of course. I suppose it's like I've said before, though. They're going to go with what they think will sell, and I've said again and again the Jag will sell, and you've seen the reaction from other people confirming. I think I'm sure that when Dale was watching that yesterday, he'll have been watching what the reaction from people would be. And several people I saw say, I'm going to have two of them. I'm going to have at least two of them. Well, I think I'll probably have two, at least. Because I want to do an Arctic one at some point. When I build them is another matter, so, you know. I know people can say, well, you moaned about it enough, you better build it. Well, it's not as simple as that, but I want to have it in my stash. I want that kit, and it looks lovely, and I'm very, very delighted. So, not a lot else to say, except that I think that's the best launch from Airfix for quite a few years, in my opinion. Yes, there was for the future things to consider. I've spoken about this before, but would love to see a 24 scale Hurricane. I think that would sell really well for them. A retooled Battle of Britain Hurricane. rather than a 2C. I think the Battle of Britain would sell better for them, because you've got markets like Poland where it would sell really well because of the Polish squadrons and the Czech squadrons. So that's something perhaps to consider for the future. On the Cold War jets, they should certainly look, perhaps each year if they can. I'd love to see them doing a tornado is needed, because that Rebel one's a bit average at best, and there's lots of fit issues and problems with it. Even if they do it at 70 seconds, I could understand if they went to 70 seconds on that one, because it is so long since they had a decent 70-second scale. GR4 is what I'd do. I think that would be the seller for them. But anyway, that's all for the future, you know. And of course the Eurofighter Typhoon. That's the next thing I'll be moaning about. But I'm going to be quiet now. I'm not going to be moaning and being negative in any way, because they have to have got the two. You know, if I had to choose two, one aircraft and one military vehicle, they have literally produced the two that I wanted to see most. But that so many of you were delighted to see yesterday, and the Stalwart went down well as well. I wasn't sure. I was thinking, oh well, I might want this. It was almost the opposite of what I've been saying about the others. I was thinking, well, opposite the Gallet, I might want this, but do the others want it? And I think they did, because again the reaction had been very, very positive, very warm. Lots of comments when I announced it on my page just after the show was over. People were saying, Stalwart, really? I'm great to get one of those. So I think it's nice to see some really nicely engineered new kits coming through, subjects that people want. I would just say to Airfix, just go easy with the Spitfires. I know they sell, but you can see that they didn't have the... I should also add, by the way, I haven't just been watching the Airfix show. I've also, because it's Hornby Hobby's release day for all their ranges, I was also watching their Corgi releases, because I was looking at the Starship Enterprise and all that stuff. Some very interesting static models, display models. And I was also watching the Scale X-Trip launch, and they've got some really impressive stuff. They've got Captain Scarlet vehicles. They do the SPV Spectrum Pursuit vehicle, which is huge, and the Spectrum what's it called, the Pursuit car, I think they call it, the red one that Captain Scarlet used to drive. Some really interesting stuff, actually. Yeah, so I was going to say, you can see that they're not flush with cash as a business. We talked about that before, and you can see that it was Airfix. Now I'm talking about, it was fairly modest in terms of probably what the capital expenditure would be. But this time, I really feel they've nailed it in terms of getting the most for their money. That's what it looks like to me, anyway. I think they nailed it this time. I think they've gone and got things that are going to sell well and keep selling. You know, the tail off of sales will be much slower. I think that they'll be popular for longer, and it gives them also lots of variants they can do, especially on the Jaguar, of course. And they got people back into the space genre as well, which is interesting, and I think there's some growth potential there. Anyway, that's it from me. I just thought I'd give you my 5 cents, or 2 penneth, as we say. It's worth about the same as 5 cents, isn't it? It's very nice, and it genuinely came as a bit of a surprise, actually, because I thought, I know I've been having these conversations with Dale now for the best part of 2 years about Jags, and I've been thinking, it's not going to happen, you know. And I've been disappointed quite a few times, along with a lot of others that have commented again and again, saying, oh, you know. And it's difficult, they can't do everything, I'm sure we all appreciate that. It's just trying to get the things that people do want. I think that because people have become more outspoken, people like me, I know, but lots of others as well, I think that's a good thing in a way, because then they can see how people react to that comment, and they can judge it, can't they? And they can see, you know, if there is any, you know, it's like HMS Victory. I mean, I dread to say this because I know Jason is desperate for HMS Victory, and I'd like to see that, actually, a new tool version of that. But I guess the fear is, would it sell? What would the number of units? The ship modelling community would certainly buy it. I'm sure they would all jump in there. But that community's not that big, and this is the problem, isn't it? It's like me wanting Formula 1 cars. You know, it's probably not going to happen. Airfix are certainly not going to be doing Formula 1 cars. I can't imagine. Not anything modern anyway in the near future. because they probably don't feel it would sell that well, you know. And it requires a lot of research and tooling and cost that it's difficult to get the balance. I think that people do appreciate that. But it's nice for so many of us to feel that we have been listened to. So I said Airfix weren't listening. I take it back. You have proven me wrong. I said to somebody yesterday, I said it's going to be depressing and it's going to disappoint me. And I actually said in a message to somebody, I literally said in the text, I said, I pray to God that they prove me totally wrong. And they did. Well done, Airfix. I don't mind being wrong if I'm getting kits like that. Kits like that, like the Buccaneer here. That's all good. There's nothing wrong with eating a bit of humble pie. We all. I'm not actually incorrect. I've been pushing for something, and so many of you that are watching this program, we wanted that product, and Airfix have now delivered it. So, over to you, people. You better start buying them. You need at least 2 Jags, like the late John Prescott, former Deputy Prime Minister. 2 Jags. I'm having at least 2 Jags. I know, but you know, let's help the manufacturer by investing in their product, by buying it, and then that gives them more money to deliver the other things we want in the future. And we keep buying it, and in my case, actually make it would be good, which I will do one day because I made the previous version, the old Hella Airfix one. I'll build it. I will build it one day. It's just making the space for it. Anyway, enough from me. I hope that all of you are as delighted as I was yesterday. Pleasantly surprised doesn't even begin to say it, really. Very, very overjoyed I was, hence my somewhat elated photograph just as I was about to reach for the first glass of champagne. I hadn't touched a drop of drink when I actually took that photo. That was pure adrenaline. But I hope that you feel the same. Everybody has. It's always difficult because everybody has a different list of the top kits they want to see. You can't please everybody all the time. It's just trying to see the trends, see the demand, and try and work that into your product line. Because then at least if you see that much demand and that much passion for a subject, at least you know it's going to sell. It's going to sell. So over to you, folks. You can get your Jags pre-ordered now. You can pre-order right now at the bargain price of $59.99. And at Airfix we're doing a discount deal. I saw. I think it was 10% off. So if you log onto their site now and register with them, you can get a discount code. So you can get it for, what's that? That's going to be £54. What's not to like at that price? You get yourself a Stalwart pre-ordered as well. Fantastic. Anyway, there you go, folks. I hope that makes clear my feelings on the matter. I am a much more calm, relaxed and happy bunny than I've been for a while now. And I have been, many of you know I've had a little bit of health trouble. What a tonic that was yesterday, I have to say. That's just about the icing on the cake, really. So, yeah. Looking forward to seeing the Jag. Looking forward to reviewing it. And also seeing the catalogue. That'll be quite good fun to go through as well. Airfix usually do send me one. Hope they will. Because it'd be nice to go through it and actually have a really enjoyable stroll through their latest product catalogue and have a chat about that again. In the meantime, I've just been looking here at with a crinkly bag for you. I was just looking at my lovely coin that I had. I don't know if I've ever shown you this. This was the coin you got with your Buccaneer. This is 12 months ago now, January last year. And this is the lovely coin that they provided with the special edition, limited edition collector's coin on the Buccaneer with 12 Squadron, the Foxes. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? So I wonder if you pre-order the Jag, I don't know whether you'll get a coin. Very tempting to do so though, isn't it? Because that would be cool. That'd be cool if they do something similar. Very, very possible they will. Who knows? Who knows? Perhaps that's a question we should ask Dale. Anyway, enough from me. Thank you very much for watching. This year I give Airfix 10 out of 10, and that's a rare thing from me. Well done, guys, and you know, your efforts are appreciated. Looking forward very much to seeing those kits in the flesh and handling them, and getting my black gloves all over them. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, all of you. Thanks to Airfix and Dale for great presentation yesterday and fantastic selection this year, in my humble opinion, and addressed quite a lot of the issues, especially on price as well, that we had last year. Yeah, I think it's put them in a strong position. I think they're going to be... You could feel the warmth from people, me included, but many, many others that were really reacting very positively yesterday towards Airfix, and I think that's done them a lot of good for the brand. So let's hope that helps them throughout 2025. And we look forward to any other releases that, who knows, they may have one or two secrets to spring upon us later in the year, as they often do. Kind of praying it's either a hurricane or a tornado or a Eurofighter, but we shall see. I'm not going to be moaning for the rest of this year about Airfix products, because they've silenced me by giving me what I wanted. But let's hope that they, you know, as I say, that they are able to perhaps surprise us with some other goodies later in the year. I'll look forward to it. Thank you all for watching. Thanks to everybody who supported me and all the other supportive comments I've had talking about these issues and about getting the things we wanted. I really appreciate the input that other people gave, especially when I got the 700 comments. That really helps, I think, and it helps Airfix too, because they know that they're onto a winner. So thank you to all the people that have supported me and all the subscribers. Don't forget, we're almost at 10,000 subscribers. I'm just a few yards away from the finishing line, so please subscribe. If you watch this video and several people have said to me in the recent weeks saying, "Oh yeah, I watch you all the time, I like your stuff, but I never subscribe." Well, please do subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and you will help me get across the line. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll get early notice when there's some new videos coming up. So thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all again in the very near future. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.